Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new live episode of He Said, He Said, He Said. A look at the world from a seasoned Black man's perspective, because one perspective is just not enough. I'm your host, Alvin King, and thank you all for joining us today. Again, welcome to our 42nd episode of Let's Get Newsy. And tonight, we're breaking down the stories that lit up April and still lighting up April, ladies and gentlemen. And for those of you in the contract world like me, we are in our, third week of our second quarter. Can you believe it? Of April? All right. We're there. Come on in and get comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for being here. Now, listen, before we get into anything serious, can we talk about this weather? Because somebody somewhere that made Mother Nature real mad. I mean, here on the East Coast, we've experienced all four seasons in about 36 hours. 1 minute, you're outside in a winter coat. Next minute, you're sweating like you're auditioning for a role in Survivor DC. Then boom, the wind comes through like somebody, like it got somewhere to go and don't nobody know where it's going. And let us not forget the wintry mix. I don't know who named that, but mix sounds like way too casual for something, that has you sliding across the street like you're in the Olympics. But in all seriousness, this week reminded us of something very important, because April 22nd was Earth Day, ladies and gentlemen. And Earth Day isn't just about planting a tree or posting a cute Instagram picture, with a leaf emoji. It's about recognizing that this planet we live on, she's got a personality and a whole bunch of attitude to boot. And based on this week, she said, oh, y'all thought you had me figured out? Well, watch this. But even in all the unpredictability, there's something beautiful happening right here in our nation's capital, because over at the Smithsonian National Zoo, we got a new star in town, ladies and gentlemen, a baby Asian elephant named Lin Mai, which translates to spirit bloom. Spirit blossom, not spirit bloom. Now, come on. I mean, does that not sound poetic to all of you, ladies and gentlemen? She was born on February 2nd of this year, and she's the first elephant born at the zoo in nearly 25 years. And, to have her make her debut on Earth Day really feels right. Her name is like a symbol of renewal, of life, and of hope, walking around on four adorable legs, reminding us that even in a world that feels chaotic sometimes, new beginnings are possible. Now, I don't know about you, but something about a baby elephant just brings people together. You can be having the worst day, bills due, boss acting crazy, but you see a baby elephant and suddenly you're like, you know what? Life might be all right. And maybe that's the part of this lesson. In the middle of climate conversations, unpredictable weather, and everything else going on in the world, we still have moments that remind us to pause, to smile, and to appreciate life. And speaking of appreciating life, that brings me to something even deeper tonight. Something that speaks not just to joy, but to survival, resilience, and progress. Because history is still being written. And right now, in the fight against HIV and AIDS. For decades, HIV was a diagnosis that carried fear, stigma, and for many, a sense of finality. Entire communities were devastated, lives were cut short, and for a long time, hope felt distant. But today, we are living in a different chapter. And I want to talk about a 63-year-old man known as the Oslo patient, has already been cured of HIV after receiving a stem cell transplant from his brother, who carried a rare genetic mutation that naturally resists in the virus. Let me say that again. He was cured. Now, this isn't something that happens overnight. This isn't a miracle in the sense of magic. This is science, dedication, research, and decades of work by medical professionals, advocates, communities who refuse to give up. And while this type of treatment isn't yet a widespread solution, it represents something powerful: progress. It tells us that what once was impossible is becoming possible. It tells us that the story of HIV and AIDS is not just one of loss. It's also one of resilience, innovation, and determination. And let me be clear, the work is not done, ladies and gentlemen. There's still millions of people around the world living with HIV. There's still disparities in access to treatment, especially in Black and brown communities. There's still stigma that needs to be dismantled, conversations that need to be had, and education that needs to be shared. But we are not where we used to be. Today, people living with HIV can lead long, healthy lives with proper treatment. And today, prevention tools like PrEP are changing the landscape. Science is moving us closer and closer to a future where HIV is no longer a public health crisis, and that really matters. So, because just like that baby elephant, Lin Mai, represented new life, and just like Earth Day reminds us of renewal, this moment in HIV history represents something else, possibility. Possibility that when humanity comes together through science, compassion, and persistence, we can change the course of history. So tonight, as we laugh about the unpredictable weather, celebrate the new life at the zoo, we're going to get newsy with you all tonight. And we're just so glad that you all are here because we have a great show for you. We haven't seen you in a while to do this show. So if you all are ready, let's get on with the chat.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. How y'all doing?
Happy Friday, TGIF.
TGIF. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you all see me in this living room and it looks really cool and stuff, but it's really humid.
It looks very cool there.
It is very humid here in Washington, D.C. So how you doing, Sean? Haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
Thank you. Been on some travel and doing some other things, but staying very busy, but happy to be here.
Good to have you. But before we begin, fellas, I'd just like to take a very quick second. Today would be my dad's 98th birthday. So I'd just like to speak the name of my father, Howard Edwards, up in heaven. I love you, Daddy. I know you're always with me.
Salute happy birthday. Happy heavenly birthday, Daddy Edwards. Thank you, Bobby, for sharing that. Can we say hello to some of these folks that are in the room? Monica Pleasant has joined us. How you doing, girl? The Big Cheese is back from Southern California. Thank you, Big Cheese, for being here. Patrice Wallace is here. Michelle Sims is here. For you all who are just tuning in, we're getting newsy with you all tonight. We're doing it all about the month of April. Yes. Thank you all for being here. Real quick, I know we're going to go right into the news, ladies and gentlemen. But tonight I have to share with Bobby and Sean and you guys. Last night I got a chance to see the Michael Jackson movie, and it is spectacular. It is a movie that you all should see. I think the characters, the cast, are phenomenal. Coleman Domingo, the young woman.
Nia Long,
she's good. His nephew who played Michael Jackson. It is just a great movie, a feel-good movie that you're going to walk away like thinking this is why this person is who he is and why we're making a fourth movie about him. You know what I'm saying? It's like it is phenomenal. So
does it cover his life till his death, or like, because I'm not familiar. Is it life in its entirety, or does it stop at a certain space?
It stops at a certain period of his life, basically when he got to the bad CD.
Okay.
Yeah, it stops there. It stops there. It doesn't go into all the other rubbish that people want to see, which is really none of their business. We done moved on with our lives. You know what I mean?
But it's good to know, because I didn't know if people thought it was going to be a whole, like, from start to finish kind of thing.
No. Hey, Sean, thank you for being here tonight, my brother. Thank you very much. So, Sean and Bobby, and again, like I said, for those of you all who are just tuning in, this is our Let's Get Newsy number 42, and we're going to highlight some of the things that's been happening in April. And I mean, some of these things that have happened in April have just been blowing my mind. So I want to go ahead, Bobby and Sean, and first talk about what happened on April the 14th with Representative Jamie Raskin and 50 other House Democrats formally introduced the Oversight Commission on the President Capacity Act, a bill aimed at establishing a bipartisan panel to evaluate President Donald Trump's fitness for office under the 25th Amendment. And I want to start the question off with, is this something that you think is going to get some traction? Like, is it a constitutional concern right now, or is this another political strategy?
So can I start?
You sure can.
I was not even going to get in the way of that running train. Oh, no.
Okay, so here's the thing that I want folks to understand about what the established Democrats are trying to do. They're trying to maintain democracy and procedures because they know that this time is going to pass and they want to keep those things in place. And so Raskin, he first introduced this piece of legislation in 2020 during Trump's first term. And they learned that impeachment isn't going to work because it did not work. And so what they're trying to do now is trigger the 25th Amendment of the US Constitution as opposed to impeaching him. So they're basically trying to remove a lot of his powers versus impeaching him. And so in that, I want people to understand that that is the strategy because they impeached him twice before.
Right.
And nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I get it. So for those of us like me who are impatient and we're like, come on now, let's do something. We're going to have to kind of hold our breath a little bit and let them do this because they are trying to maintain a democracy post this MAGA era.
So in layman's term for me, the question because Sean, thank you for clarifying that. And in layman's term for me, I'm just going to say, do you think this is something that will be effective?
Oh, are you asking me or Bobby? Are you going to weigh in?
Oh no, I'm asking you. Because yeah, yeah. Do you think? Well, either one of you. Do you think that this move is something that will be effective? Because I'm so sick of turning on the television and everything that we try to do to get him out of there or remove him or push him out the way, it doesn't work.
I do think it will be impactful and effective eventually. And we're going to talk later about what's happening in Virginia, et cetera, and so forth. And they are the Democrats, they like to do things through bureaucracy, and it takes a long time sometimes, and that drives people like me crazy because they are step by step people. So I do think that come January 2027, they will be moving forward with all these things. This is just laying the groundwork. This is just laying the first brick down before they're building that case against Trump so that they can forget about impeaching him, but removing his powers. And therefore, he would truly be a lame duck president.
Okay. Well, Big Cheese had something to say. Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby. What was you saying?
No, you go right ahead and read. Big Cheese wrote a little statement there. So
he said this is a Democratic strategy. The Democratic Party is in very big trouble, losing more Black voters. The strategy will not work. Trump only has 2 more years. Oh, okay.
I disagree.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Big Cheese, but people keep saying that the Democratic Party are losing Black people. That's not true. Okay, people forget that 90% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris, and that almost 85% of Black men voted for Kamala Harris. Yes, the GOP did gain some votes from Black people, men and women, more than in the past, but that's not what's happening when you really look at what's happening in the ground. People are just upset with both parties, to be honest with you. Okay, but Black voters are not saying we're going to the GOP. That's not happening at all.
I think for me, one of the concerns I have is that none of this happens overnight. And as Big Cheese was pointing out, we have a 2-year window at this point. And so what we know is that the Republicans and the current administration are masterful at prolonging things when and where they can and blocking things and all. Like they've got the playbook down in terms of how to stall things. And so while I do think it's important, because I also think that the American people do not need to see the Democrats sitting idly with their hands doing nothing, making no attempt to at least hold the current administration accountable. So I think that there is some importance and significance in it. I think Sean raises good points in terms of the percentages of Black voters that still remain Democratic. But what I'm hoping is that, there are some people for whom you could talk until you're blue in the face and they are going to remain on one side or the other. But I'm hoping that there is room, given the impact of some of the current administration's policies and practices, the cost of living, the cost of gas, cost of food, sending people to war unnecessarily. I think that there are a variety of things that hopefully will really call into question the capacity and the fitness of this current leader to serve in this role.
All right. Thank you, guys. Well, we had to kick that off. Thank you, Big Cheese. And Big Cheese, we're going to end this on Big Cheese's comment. He said the Democratic Party is doing absolutely nothing specifically for the FBA family community. And Big Cheese has a right to his opinion. And we're going to leave it there for a minute. We're going to leave it there. Thank you, Big Cheese. And we're going to go on because there's some other stuff other shakeups that are happening, up there on Capitol Hill. And it started on February the 2nd. Thank God it wasn't the 1st. Because it would have been an April Fool's, and I didn't know if I could live with that. But on the 2nd of April, Donald Trump fired Attorney General Pam Bondi, ending her roughly 14-month tenure, at the Department of Justice. And many of us were really happy to go. He fired her, but he moved her to another place. And we're going to talk about two people in this story right here. We're going to talk about the Labor Secretary, Lori Chavez DeRemer, I think. She resigned amid a misconduct investigation. And when you look at her rap sheet is long. So any comments let's talk about Pam Bondi, first of all, and how you all feel about her not being the Attorney General right now, that you can say on camera.
I have 2 words. 2 words.
Yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. She was a menace to society. She made me, I try not to use that word Karen too much, but she was like the epitome of a Karen to me.
Are you saying she was a capital K Karen?
She was a capital K.
Capital K.
I'm not going to do that, but yeah, I'm glad that she's gone, and I don't know what the future holds for the person who we just talked about him last week, who stepped in, or a couple of weeks ago, who stepped into her shoes. Mm-hmm. But I do want to talk about this about Lori and her rap sheet. This woman has misuse of taxpayer funds and authority. She has committed workplace misconduct. And then there's allegations involving family members. So my question is, how in the H did she get up in there? How? What? Well,
I don't know if you've noticed the trend of appointments by this current administration, but certainly training and qualifications have nothing to do with appointments. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
And keep in mind, she's the 3rd member of this man's cabinet to have to step down for some kind of misconduct or failure failure in Pam Bondi's case to not release the Epstein files. So I have nothing positive to say about these 2 women. They're nasty women.
Sean, can you say something? I seem to a little bit more conviction. Huh?
I seem to remember the president saying, I love the disclaimer, just the views and opinions expressed on tonight's episode do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the blackpressusa.com or the National Newspaper Publishers Association. Want to get that disclaimer out there. You are hearing the opinions and feelings of Alvin, Bobby,
and Sean.
There you are. So just a reminder about that. But I do want to remind you that the current administration was very clear about draining the swamp and only putting in the most qualified people in all of these positions, and the appointments speak for themselves.
Yes, they do.
Well, since we're still up on Capitol Hill and we're not ready to leave right now, we got one more woman to talk about, and she did something in April that had us all looking at her like she was crazy, and that was Melania Trump. On April the 9th, she held a rare unannounced press conference in the White House grand foyer to forcefully deny any personal or professional relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey.
Jeffrey who, Alvin?
Jeffrey. I don't even want to say his name. Jeffrey. Okay. Jeffrey. Just Jeffrey.
Let me
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
let me read this quote from this woman.
Isn't that her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she says the lines linking me with the disrespectful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. Now, anyone who puts out such a statement, you have to know and believe that this is just a distraction. She clearly has had some kind of relationship with this man. Now, she says she only met the man twice. And she says that he did not introduce her to her current husband. But I know that if I had did something nefarious or pernicious in behavior, I would make a similar statement knowing that I'm not telling the truth.
I think she was a pawn. I think he used her. He told her, or someone told her to go out there and do that as a distraction to the Jeffrey Epstein files. And I think that that's what she did. And it didn't work out in her favor. I don't know where this whole trial is going because it just can't seem to end. I don't know, something so heinous with all the facts that they have on it. I'm just exhausted from hearing about it. I want it to go away.
I think for me, one of the lines that, first of all, just imagine any other first lady having to make such a statement. Let's just start there. That you even have to come out, that someone on your team says you need to separate yourself. Now, I also want to point out that according to reports, the name mentioned in those files, the second most name after the person whom they're named after is her husband. Like, it's Jeffrey and then the husband.
Right.
But the fact that you have to make that statement, for me though, the line, and I did not watch the whole statement, but I relied on some of the late night show hosts to really kind of summarize it and make me laugh about it, was when she mentioned, as she mentioned in her autobiography, in her book or in her movie, blah, blah, blah. And people were like, girl, nobody's read that book or seen that book. Like, why are you referencing something that we've not seen? So it is, yeah.
Well,
Delusion.
Melania, don't make movies and don't come out unannounced. Whatever you do. Okay. Is that some good advice for her?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't make movies. Well, we talked about what the Democrats are doing on the Hill, but the Democrats were also busy this week because while all that was happening there, the Democrats may have just made a quiet but powerful move in Virginia that could impact the future elections, and that was the redistricting that law that was passed, and that was very to me that I had a lot of I was conflicted with what to do sometimes because all the ads were coming out and they were saying yes and no and yes and no. I had to really sit down and pay attention to what was actually happening. That took a whole day for me.
Well, it was a little tricky because one would think if this is something that I'm against,
right,
I should vote no.
No, correct.
That's what one I think instinctually we think. But of course, those who were trying to prevent the redistricting from happening were saying you need to vote yes.
Right.
And so that was my fear, that just by sheer confusion, that it might go in the opposite direction. Those of you who know me dearly know that I have little to no affection at all for the state of Virginia. Like I live in the DMV. My friends know if they invite me to something in Virginia, it is really up in the air whether or not I will show up, because I've never felt comfortable fully in Virginia as a Black man. I just don't. But I got to give credit where credit is due. And they were able to come through in this most recent election to save the inappropriate redistricting. So I'm going to give them their credit. Doesn't mean I'm going there, but I'm just going to give them their credit.
It was a short window, short margin. I'm sorry, Sean, but yeah, it was a very tight race. I expected a bigger or wider margin, but it wasn't. Sean? Mm-hmm.
Well, Alvin, you're correct, but I think that's because Virginia is a purple state. So that is to be expected with any kind of election when it comes to Virginia. But this is temporary. The folks of Virginia voted for gerrymandering for the next 4 years, basically. And this is part of that Democratic strategy that we talked about before. And people have to understand that you can't get mad at what happened in Virginia. I'm talking to the Washington Post, okay, who slammed it. But when Texas did it, they were like, yay. Okay, so people are trying to have it both ways. The Democrats are actually, what they're doing is, like I said, they're laying brick by brick by brick, but they also are trying to say, you know what, you did it, okay, we're going to do it too. But not only that, we're going to do it better.
Right.
Okay? Right. And so California, okay, did it through the proper way, through a referendum. Virginia did it the proper way, through a referendum. Texas did not. Texas just said, you know, we're not going to do it. We're just going to do it ourselves. So this thing that is happening in Virginia is going to lead to the Democratic Party winning the House and possibly the Senate. And the thing that I'm really hoping for is that they need to have a supermajority in the House. That's the thing that I'm hoping for, but that may not happen.
Well, we can definitely only hope. And on the same topic, there was a person, I think, in the Supreme Court, or one of the judges there, the circuit court, who has filed a claim against those who in Virginia to stop all the votes that said yes to this redistricting. But they say the Supreme Court is going to shut it down, that this is not the first time that this attorney, this lawyer, whoever he is, this judge, has tried to do that or stop something. But they said that they don't think that, they meaning media and what I've been reading, that it's not going to go through. But the fact that he did it right after, and he's a Trump appointed attorney or something.
Secretary, yeah.
Big Cheese says something. Big Cheese, we're going to let you close out all of our segments. He said, the Democratic Party has no solution to stop inflation, wars, and the decline of the United States. I have a feeling that you're not a Democrat.
Or very disappointed Democrat.
And that's all good. I'm just picking up on the vibes, Big Cheese. I'm glad you're here because opinions matter. So
Amen.
I thank you.
Amen.
But I'm just honing in on that. Okay. Well, we're going to leave Capitol Hill and we're going to come downtown in DC because and talk about some DC politics that is really on the table right now, because there is a what do you call it? I had a loss for words. There's a race that's happening right now to fill the seat of Eleanor Holmes Norton. And this week, one of the candidates by the name of Brooke Pinto released personal information about the other candidate, Robert White. She released a 67-page opposition research dossier on him, which contained highly personal information. I don't know what information it was in there, but it was enough for him to go online. And this is her apology letter that she wrote to him after she did it. But in most cases like this, apology letters don't matter when you put the person's personal business out in the street. And I've called her Petty Pinto, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I've called her Petty Pinto. But yeah, I mean, this is the kind of this is the kind of things that people do in these races. But Robert White was really annoyed by it, as he should be.
Well, Robert White, first and foremost, is a former guest of He Said, He Said, He Said. He has been on the show, and he is the most impressive young man. Full disclosure, Robert White is also the son of two of my classmates. I graduated from high school with his mother and his father, Robert White Sr. And so I have known Robert White since he was a child.
So he could be your son.
10 8. Because his mother and father and I are great. Yes.
You all look the same age. I mean, y'all look very youthful. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. But he's an impressive man, and he has every right to be upset. I do not understand in this day and age where people's personal business, I understand in terms of things that would be related to his leadership. So I realize when you become a public servant, there's a lot of stuff that, actually is revealed, but your personal home address, stuff about your father, all that kind of stuff, it's disappointing to see that, in DC for this particular position, that has become political gain.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned before that this particular year that DC politics is going to get very, very dirty, and this is one of the examples of dirty politics that's happening right now in DC. But people need to understand that this race, the congressional seat to replace Eleanor Holmes Norton, is basically a delicate position in which DC still gets no vote in Congress. Okay, but the role of this individual is somewhat like a lobbyist. And Robert White has stated that he wants to advocate for DC becoming a state and other needs for DC. Brooke Pinto, again, it's just my own personal opinion. So people need to know the history that she is known by a lot of folks in the city as an undercover Republican. And we said it because, if you knew how she became a DC council member, in her current ward, that too was also kind of shady when it happened some years ago. So there's some history there with all of this. And so Brooke Pinto, she has a lot of money. Her backers have a lot of money. She received a lot of money from the GOP for this current race.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so you have to look at where the money is coming from and the dossier and where that came from. Who funded that? I'm telling you, the GOP funded that. Okay. And Robert White, Bobby, like you, I know him personally. He's been in my home. I've been in his home. But this is not about that because I haven't endorsed anyone in this race as of yet as a commissioner. But this is dirty. And Brooke Pinto, her backers, they're going to face some consequences for this.
Well, Sean, you said earlier in the year that this race was going to be messy. And those were your words. You said this race is going to be messy. And this is definitely one of those moments based on what you said. Thank you, guys. Well, and while we're in DC, there's something that happened here that has been happening in other cities, but haven't gotten a report. But on this week, not too far from where I live, a 19-year-old man was found hanging in the 900 block of Quackenbow Street, which is not too far from my neighborhood. And it has sparked a significant community outcry for transparency after the Metropolitan Police which is like a block and a half, if not closer to where he was hanging, took 3 days to report. And there's been other and they say that it was a suicide. Now there's been 3 cases of people found hanging this year, black men, and this person wasn't black, but it was a person of color. And they say that it was suicide. And these are young men. I just don't find that to be true. I have nothing to base it on. I just don't think that black men are hanging themselves. And I know we're going to talk about suicide prevention, and we advocate, knowing who to contact in that regard. But I don't think that black young men are hanging themselves a lot. Your thoughts on that?
I'd like to hope that it's not true, but I've seen a lot of societal actions become more commonplace within our communities, including suicide. I don't know. I reserve, opinion or statement beyond it. But I don't. I also live in the world that we know it's not impossible that there are people doing this. So I mean, in terms of actually hurting and harming people and possibly even lynching them, right? Because using that word. So I don't think that's an impossibility as well. But I guess I feel that we've reached a point in our society where both conclusions are viable. I guess for me, they are viable. It's a possibility that it could be either of the two.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback on you, Bobby, because the family did state that this young man, this 19-year young man, did have some troubles, and they were aware of those troubles, and that he sometimes came to them regarding those troubles, but they don't know what prompted this, but they don't believe it was suicide either. Okay, and I think there's a lot of unknowns with this, and DC still has a lot of crime. Okay, and I don't have the data off the top of my head, but when it comes to suicide and men, most men tend to take something more violent, like a gun, when it comes to suicide, whereas women tend to do something like pills, something more docile, if you will. Both are horrible, if you will. But this is a bit perplexing because it's a hanging. Okay, and like Alvin, you said, this is not the first incident of a hanging in this country.
This year, there's been at least 4 or 5 this year. In this country.
Our national history with this is real and valid, and we know that there are people who, when they say they like to make America great again, it's returning to the days where this was commonplace.
Where you would lynch someone. Well, while we're here, and prayers for the family of this young man. One more thing I want to add also to that conversation is that I know that there have been conversation about there being gangs in my neighborhood in Upper Northwest. And so this could also lend way to a gang-related situation. As opposed to, a lynching due to race or whatever, but things that you got to keep at the forefront of your mind. And since we're talking about this topic, I do want to talk about something that happened this week and which is also on the rise. Domestic violence is on the rise, and we're seeing concerns around domestic violence and mental health in the Black community. And certain cases have highlighted that. This recent this recent incident with Justin Fairfax, whereas he killed himself and his wife in a domestic violence dispute. And then there was the tragedy in Shreveport, Louisiana, where a young man with 7 kids killed his children and a cousin of the kids, all due to a domestic violence sort of dispute. How do you make sense of that? How do you make sense of that? And I publicly said, last week, when I grew up, I didn't know how to deal with that. But there's so many ways that you can now, in terms of making calls. You don't have to stay silent. But a bigger conversation that needs to be had is some of these relationships that are going on, people know that some of the people they're in relationships with have these tendencies, and they don't move quick enough.
So
the signs are there.
Yeah, Alvin, you're right. The signs are there, but let's start with Justin Fairfax first. So this all, I don't say it all started with the allegation of sexual assault. That was never proven, by the way, but that sexual assault did derail his career, and he was on the path to become the governor of Virginia,
right?
And who knows, maybe something beyond that. But I do know that with politicians, as well as with a lot of people, athletes, et cetera, and so forth, when something like this happens, depression is real. The mental state is where we saw it happen with Andrew Gillum, who was for governor in Florida. We saw it happen with Hillary Clinton. She stayed away for almost 2 years, not a word from her. And so, but we don't know a lot. There's still a lot we just don't know. It's a tragic situation. I feel for the kids of Justin Fairfax and his wife. I feel for the whole family and those that knew them. And as far as what happened in Shreveport, Louisiana, let me say this first. Jalen Elkins, age 3. Shayla Elkins, age 5. Kayla Pugh, age 6. Layla Pugh, age 7. Syria Snow, age 11. Kedarion, age 6. Baylon, I'm mispronouncing the name, Snow, age 5, and Mark Cadone, age 10. Those are the children that were killed by this man who basically didn't know how to handle his wife asking for a divorce. But like you said, Alvin, people warned her that this man may not be stable, but she married him anyhow and then wanted a divorce. And then he went off and said, and did this.
Bobby, I'm going to say something because it's in my loins to say. I look at both of these men as cowards. I'm calling them cowards. And because if you were going through that, why kill somebody else? He killed them in Shreveport. He killed the kids. And then the police had to kill him. If Justin Fairfax was going through that, kill yourself. Put yourself out of your misery. But you kill your wife in front of your kids, they are scarred for life. And so I'm not desensitizing, mental health or anything of that sort, but there is something cowardly in those acts that I can't seem to connect with. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, it's just, just something very deep rooted in that area. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. We're going to switch gear. Oh, this is the number, ladies and gentlemen. If you're dealing with, domestic violence, please call this hotline. Please call it. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And one more time, we're going to go right back up to Capitol Hill, but this one is funny. We're going to talk about Caitlyn Jenner. Y'all know who Caitlyn Jenner is?
Oh yeah, we know who she is.
You know who she is? Caitlyn Jenner had the audacity, who used to be Kris Jenner, correct? Was it Kris Jenner?
Kris Jenner, I'm sorry, Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Jenner. Yes,
Kris Jenner is his wife. Right. Bruce Jenner, one of the most highly decorated Olympic athletes in history.
Well, Caitlyn Jenner is mad because something that Donald Trump stated that as soon as he got into office and how he was going to deal with the trans community. She got mad and she went on Facebook and reached out to Donald Trump for help regarding her passport issues caused by his administration's anti-trans policies, which claims, as reported by People magazine and shared on Facebook, have created a safety factor for preventing her from traveling internationally. And she's seeking his help. Caitlyn, girl,
sister.
you have done nothing, according to what I've heard, for the trans community. And now you want help. So, girl, did Caitlyn come?
I'm not going to do it.
Girl, okay, right.
Yeah,
so I don't know what you all want to say on that, but he told you what he was going to do.
Listen, let me say this. I'm sorry, Bobby. I got to get this out. This Caitlyn Jenner, Bruce Jenner, whatever you want to call him, her, him, voted and supported this man for a very, very, very long time. Okay, knowing what he's all about. Yet there are many, many, many married women right now in this country, okay, in which we have passports in which this administration is threatening them in the sense that they may not be able to get passports because of the name change or what have you. So what about all those millions of women who have passports, okay, and have to go back and find their birth certificates or what have you, because they got married to a man and took their husband's last name,
right?
Okay. So forgive me if I don't feel any sympathy, let alone empathy, for Caitlyn Jenner, because I just do not. Okay, I may be stepping out of line, and again, this is not the thoughts of he said, or anyone else, but I just don't care about his issue, her issues, or whatever. I don't.
I'm not going to add a lot. We have many more stories that we're trying to get to, but we do want to just, again, she knew, as Sean said, the administration's policies around the transgender community. But yet again, I think her privilege, her white privilege, her former male privilege, all of those things I think rose to the top for her, thinking that she would be excluded from the things that the rest of the trans community would experience as a result of the policies and practices. And the fact that she reached out and is seeking sympathy and empathy because she said she's not heard back. One word, karma.
Girl. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to switch gears, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go to the world of sports right now, because in early April, for those who don't even look at women's basketball, they tuned in to watch Dawn Staley, the coach of South Carolina women's basketball, get disrespected by Coach Gino, I think it's Auriemma of UConn, after her team beat them. And according to what we know, Gino, they got into a heated exchange because Gino said that she or one of the teammates of Dawn Staley ripped the jersey and of one of his teammates, and he was just rude all the way around. And we watched this play out on national TV. This is Dawn Staley. I don't think anybody want to really mess with her, but she said on TV what she was going to do to him after he disrespected her. And that's the big picture for me. Watching this Black woman get disrespected on national TV by a person after her team beat the other team, fair and square, by a well-respected coach. That was the overarching conversation for me.
She was one of the best in the game when she was a player, and she's been an extraordinary coach. And as you said, I think she put everything out there. She was like, I will not be respected, and I will. Gino's, she was not playing. But she's also said they have amended their relationship because she does respect him as a coach and what he has accomplished, and she's asked people to move forward. So she's good. I'm good.
She's good. I'm good. Bobby, Sean, you want to say anything? Because you're from South Carolina. I know you got something to say. I know you do.
That's my alma mater. Go Cox.
Okay.
And
we're gonna leave that right there.
For many reasons.
Right there.
For many reasons. And since we're talking about women being disrespected, okay, when the Big Cheese said this is good, everything is out in the open. Big Cheese then commented. First, I'm going to go back up. He said, in regards to Justin Fairfax, there is no retirement plans in the game of political. I don't know that.
Yeah, WS. I don't know.
I don't want to assume that I know what that is because I was going to say something that's probably not right. But thank you, Big Cheese. But since we're talking about disrespecting women, the woman of the hour right now who is selling out concerts is Cardi B. And this week, Cardi B performed in Atlanta, or last week on April the 18th. And after a heated confrontation with the staff, Cardi B said the next time she comes back to Atlanta to perform, she's going to do it in a parking lot because the staff was so rude to her and her staff. And word on the street, they say that Cardi B is one of the nicest, most professional artists to work with. Very caring, very, friendly. Everybody, and she said out of 34 shows, Atlanta treated her with such disrespect that she almost refused to cancel. I think she did the show. She did it. But there was a lot of going back and forth to where she would not. Stop disrespecting these Black women.
Amen. Amen. I'm gonna leave that right there. Amen.
Just stop it. It don't make no sense.
They deserve better. They deserve far better.
I can't. And see now, I don't know where this is going, this next story, you guys, but we're going to talk about Tina Campbell, the duo Mary, and she is going through some divorce drama with her husband, Teddy Campbell. And I don't know about all this, but Teddy filed for divorce in Los Angeles on April 13th, citing unreconcilable differences and listing their separation date as June 24th. The couple, who has been previously overcame a major cheating scandal, had 2 children together.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about the hypocrisy in divorce and recently, didn't we?
Yes, we have been talking about that. We were talking about the other Atlanta housewife who was having to pay alimony and all of those types of things and prenuptial agreements. We've had some of those discussions. Yes.
Right.
I would say that marriage is a modern day social construct that typically does not benefit both parties equally, especially women.
Oh, Sean, I need you to say that one more time because I think
how do you feel?
Just, you know what? I don't know the ins and outs of what happened. But first of all, Big Cheese, going back to Cardi, he says she's reckless. We know she has reckless tendencies, Big Cheese. But she does not deserve to be disrespected.
And that's the part we're talking about.
And that's the part.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, because if I disrespected every reckless person that I saw,
Ooh.
that would be a new job. I would have, and I don't have room for another job. Okay. And so we're gonna do that. Big Cheese, one more. He's closing out all of our segments. He said getting legally married in the United States, especially for men with resources, is a bad deal.
I agree.
Oh wow. I that sounds reckless to me. No, I'm just it's reckless. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't know
if I agree with that either, Big Cheese. Sorry, Sean does. So Sean, maybe I'll just come over your house with some tea.
Well, first of all, it automatically makes the assumption that the man is the one who's making the money, and that is not always the case.
Well, I think it was beyond resources. Is what I think he's saying. What I'm saying, it's not just financial resources; it's beyond that.
Okay, for men with resources.
What
if a man is marrying another man?
That's again bad idea.
Oh, so
please can we move on?
You can't spread that kind of. Okay, I'm gonna keep going because
let's move on.
This is another talk show. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to lighten up the room a little bit, and we're going to go to.
Oh, is this what we're doing now? Is this lightening up the
room? We're going to lighten it up. We're going to lighten the room up a little bit, and we're going to talk about this week the announcement of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. What was announced, and there were several artists who made it, from Phil Collins, Billy Idol, what is that? Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order, Oasis, Sade, Luther Vandross, and the Wu-Tang Clan. And Queen Latifah it's an award that she's going to receive called the Early Influence Award.
Wow.
And I've never heard of that, but she's going to get it. But some of the controversy around here is like, why are certain people getting inducted when it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The ignorance carpet has just been rolled out. Go ahead.
This is what I don't get. And we talked about this earlier. People don't talk about, well, it's rock and roll, but yet some of the people who were nominated, some of the folks who received this honor years in the past have not had as many hits as Sade. They haven't even come close, but yet they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they want to say that, oh, well, she's not rock and roll. Luther Vandross is not rock and roll. Well, rock and roll came from Black people, okay? And anything that has to do with music in this country and the roots and the influence of that comes from Black people, and therefore we should be included in anything related to music, whether it be country, rock and roll, name it. You know, it came from us.
I can't touch that. Bobby, do you want to touch that? Because if you don't, he's going to take your black card and you will not be able to get into the room again. I just want you to know.
I want to get in the room, so I'm just going to congratulate those who have been inducted.
And you don't want to
wish the best of luck to those yet to be inducted.
And I will be watching because I want to see who's going to pay tribute to who. And especially if anybody gets up there and sings any Luther Vandross song, you better do it justice. Okay.
Congratulations to Sade.
And congratulations to Sade. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking about concert tours. Oh, well, wait a minute. Big Cheese, he says Sade. Big Cheese is
no.
Okay. Big Cheese, I'm gonna let you have Big Cheese. You are showing up tonight. Big Cheese, but see, okay.
Sade never said she was FBA. She never said anything like that.
It's only a crime. Okay. It's only a crime. Okay. Big Cheese, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 concerts that are supposed to dominate the summer. And one of them is the R&B tour with Chris Brown and Usher. That's the Raymond and Brown tour. The next tour is the TLC Salt and Pepper in Vogue. It's iconic tour, and with coming off of all the rhetoric that was behind Chile and all of that, believe it or not, I've heard from a very reliable source that the shows are selling out, and people probably want to buy tickets to go boo, but you know what? Buy your tickets, and
Wait, do you know how much those tickets are? I will boo from outside. I ain't paying all that money to go boo nobody.
People buy tickets for the dumbest things sometimes, okay? And then we have Jill Scott, her world tour, To Whom It May Concern. And so I'm going to see Jill Scott. I'm not a huge fan of, because I don't know their music, of Usher but would you all agree that that these are some pretty big concerts that are going to dominate this summer?
I agree that they're all big concerts. The issue I have is that, and you can go back and look at this because it's pretty factual. A lot of these artists go on tour when the U.S. economy is down. You know, when there's like some kind of recession or inflation, and I think they know the psychology is that when the economy is not doing well, okay, people want to be entertained, and so they go to concerts and so forth. So I have a problem with that, you know, basically because they know this, marketers know this, business people know this, but yet they still want to take people's money who are not going to have to pay $5 for a gallon of gas.
Well, okay, to your point, artists got to get paid too.
Yeah.
This is, and they can't get paid if they don't put on shows. So
they're not hurting, Alvin. They're not hurting.
Oh, well, I don't know. There's some people that are hurting. That, I mean, I can't. No, let me stay in my lane. Artists got to get paid too.
What I would say is that I am of an age now that I need to be more than just in the room. And so if I'm going to pay $200, $300 for a ticket, I cannot be so far back that the only way that I can see them is like on a screen. That's just me at this point. So the likelihood of me going to any of these concerts at the cost of those tickets is unlikely. I'll wait for one of them to be streamed or whatever. Of the concerts, though, the one that's interesting to me is this Chris Brown and Raymond Usher one, and just because I am familiar with both of their music. Usher is far more than Chris Brown's, but I do believe that they're going to be both extraordinarily entertaining concerts. I think so. Music, the sets, the dancing, all of that kind of stuff. What's really been interesting to me is what I've heard is like an upset by women that so many men are interested to go see these two men perform. And assuming that if you're a man that's going, and I'm sure there are a lot of gay men who are going because of their entertainment and their attraction to them, all those kinds of things. But you could also be completely heterosexual and just love their music and want to go see them perform. But it's been really interesting hearing some women, not all of them, say, well, why would a man, with this side eye, why would a man want to go see Chris Brown and Usher?
Because they're going to say, let it burn to the woman.
Well, you know what? I think there should be a
because they're going to tell that woman, let it burn.
Oh Lord. Okay, what were you going to say, Alvin?
I think, well, first of all, Big Cheese is going to the show. Monica is going to one of the shows, and Big Cheese said he will pay $200 because they are all talented, FBA and the best. Okay, he put on here what FBA means, which is foundational Black Americans at their best. Tickets are expensive, and you got to pick and choose what you do. I can't go to all of them. So, I love Jill Scott. It's my birthday weekend. So, I'm definitely going to check her out. But, the tickets were not cheap.
They're not cheap.
But none of them are. None of them are. Even comedy shows, even going to City Winery these days. I remember City Winery was like $75.
Which is the great irony, because as Sean is saying, people are struggling to make ends meet in many instances. And yet I've seen people fork over like huge amounts of dollars for a ticket. So it does go back to what you were saying in terms of the desire to be entertained and kind of step away from the reality of the troubles of the world. But
check your choices.
Is one of the great performers, though. I love it.
And I'm telling you now,
I'm having a little problem. Check the choices. What do you call it? What do you call it? Ticketmaster didn't come to your pocketbook and reach in your pocketbook and grab your credit card and go to that phone and order that ticket.
I agree with you.
They didn't do that.
There were no guns held at anybody's head to buy a ticket.
Right.
You making a choice, right?
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to find the space to hear my brother's his stance on that. I'm just like, okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
But I'm going to tell you, when people see their power bills in June, July, and August, those bills are going to be hovering around $400 per month.
Well, look, Mother Nature said, cut it off and put your heater on. Okay.
Choices yet again, Alvin.
Choices. Okay. Choices. All right. Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for staying with us tonight. We have one funny segment and that we really want to share with you guys. It is prom season, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to take a minute and share some prom photos from this year's prom. And I thought this was kind of cute. I thought this was kind of tame.
Doing the thumbs up, down, or side first. So for that one, I go yes.
Yes. Yeah, definitely tame. Cute. And then we have this one here. Okay. It's great to see, same gender loving lesbian couple going to a prom, pushing envelopes. And
nice color. Nice color, a bit much on the bottom though.
Yeah, can we go back to that, please?
I don't know. I don't like that color on either.
It is something wrong with all of that.
Yeah.
On her.
On both of them.
Well, no, I think that the individual, the young lady in the suit,
Mm-hmm.
I think the suit, you know, it's a prom like, but that other one, the gown, I just can't get into. Can't get into.
Okay.
But you said no, Sean. Okay. This next one.
His suit is nice. Her pink, I don't know what that is. Her pink, whatever is.
It's a dress. It's a dress. You may not like it. It's a dress.
Oh, Big Cheese said he liked the Cadillac.
He likes the Cadillac. All right, Big.
And Sean is going to see Jill Scott. We can compare notes, Sean. You know what? I'm just like, okay, I know these guys are all getting ready for college and they probably play football, but you know what? Everything shouldn't be tight. Everything should not be tight. It does not. Everything does not require tightness.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this one a middle. I won't give it a down, but it's not a high choice for me. No.
I'm gonna give it a sidebar.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, what we have?
I love Midnight Blue.
Very
nice.
safe, but appropriate.
Very nice.
Very nice. At least you can sit down at the table.
Sit down, functional, and people sometimes just have to recognize everything is not right for every body type. Like and it's not about everybody having to be skinny or someone being too large. It's just choosing things that work with your body type. That's a very complimentary dress and nice fitted suit for those two. So yeah.
If I was a parent, I'd be happy to see them leave.
Yes.
Yeah, I would. I really would. Yeah, even if hair is combed, I like it. Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. What in the Mother Teresa is happening here?
So, I'm assuming that she's going solo because no one could stand next to her. Like you can't get to her. So,
and she's 5'2".
That's interesting.
Look like she's not a tall girl.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's an epic fail for me. I don't like that.
Yeah.
And it looks old. She looks old.
She looks like a statue.
She looks like she was going for Jessica Rabbit.
It's not, yeah.
And next.
Oh.
She's channeling her who?
Megan
Megan
Megan Thee Stallion look.
Well, yeah, she's channeling her. I'm surprised Sean ain't jumped to the television on that. She's channeling her Megan Thee Stallion on this. I actually like this.
Stallion.
You said what, Sean?
No, my daughter would not be wearing that as a 16, 17-year-old.
No.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, what I do like is that red lining on the inside. That's kind of dramatic. That's
dramatic. Yeah, I like it. I like it because of that. Yeah.
But
okay.
that slit. A slit is supposed to be like an exposure, like kind of like her legs gonna be out like that all night long, like in its entirety.
And you said a mouthful. Okay. And that's a no. And this next one.
Too much.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes you just want to say next. Next.
We're gonna say next. Oh.
Definitely.
We're in the quack. Where in the quack?
I don't know.
Is she going?
That's a lot.
And how much time did it take to put that on?
Sean just came at too much, way too much.
Too much.
Yeah. And where do you sit? Who sits? How? I like no.
Way too much. And shame on the person who made it. Okay.
Right. Or
now. Oh, you making us suffer? Okay. This.
That's trendy. That's nice. That's a young person's outfit, a young person's suit.
On point, young man.
If you're gonna wear a slim pant, be slim.
And even in his slimness, it is not so tight fitting because he could still even have it like it could look tight on him because they make them that small. Mm-hmm. But he chose something that is a pencil profile that is not skin tight. It's just a slender profile. He looks quite nice.
So and he has on socks. So I like that. I do like that. Thank you. Sean said he likes that too. And
Yeah.
I think our last photo of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, for prom, I think we're gonna. It's not even a who's best, but our last photo, when it comes up, and I don't know, we might end the show on him.
This could be the last.
It might be the last show. It might be the last image that we have. I don't know where we're going. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for let me see. Oh, that was the last photo, ladies and gentlemen. So I thought it was another one. I got so carried away with giving my critique. Okay. No, thank you all. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us for our Let's Get News. We always have so much fun doing this show. And I get a chance to see the other sides of Bobby and Sean, which I do love.
When we go
a lot, ladies and gentlemen. So look, next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna return, and we have a special guest with us next week, and with his new book, From the Front Lines to Fiction, Inside the Raven Shadow, with author Derek Jackson will be here, ladies and gentlemen, to speak with us, and we're looking forward to that. And our words of the week. Ooh, this is a good one. There will be very painful moments in your life that will change your entire world in a matter of minutes. These moments will change you. Let them make you stronger, smarter, and kinder. But don't you go and become someone that you're not. Cry, scream if you have to. Then you straighten out that crown and keep moving.
Hallelujah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fun week. I don't know what you all are doing this weekend, but whatever you do, be safe at it. Hug on yourself, love yourself, tell somebody else that you love them if you like them or whatever.
And lead with love.
Just lead with love. Thank you. Bobby and Sean, viewers, you all take care. And we'll see you on the next episode of He Said.
He said.
He said.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.